Greetings and welcome to the Halloween edition of the Sliders Review. And I'm here today to talk to you about the Walking Dead web episode Cold Storage. It's the second one. Normally the webisodes are not very good. They tend to be a bit boring. They lack zombie action. Normally there's like one zombie. They're a quick way to keep telling the Walking Dead story with the new cast and to like a cheaper budget. And some of them like to tie in, well, they all tie into like The Walking Dead. Some tie in a little bit stronger, like when it comes to fear. Like the events of the airplane one, where the survivor lady showed up in the second season of Fear the Walking Dead. When it comes to the webisodes, like I said before, not very well acted. Sometimes the story can be a bit weak or confusing at times, but there are times when some are pretty interesting. There are a couple of them that are interesting, and in my opinion, there's two that's actually good. Torn Apart and Cold Storage are like, my opinion, the best ones are the best because it has exactly what you're looking for when it comes to The Walking Dead. So Cold Storage. I'm not really sure which one is actually my favorite. For the longest time, I've been saying Cold Storage. However, the only problem I have with Cold Storage is everything towards the end when the girl gets rescued. It's like the writing started to get like really bad at that time. And like it got a little confusing. But when it does come to Cold Storage, I've always wanted the two survivors to like show up on the show somehow, but they never did. Here's hoping for The Walking Dead or Tales of the Walking Dead, that new spin-off anthology series. It really should show what happened to some of the survivors in these webisodes, because people are kind of curious, you know what I'm saying? And plus, I just love myself some Serena Vincent, so yeah, no. She was the yellow Lost Galaxy Ranger, for crying out loud. I mean, how can you not love her? So anyway, Cold Storage. It entails of a young man. He's desperately trying to get to his sister. We see him at the top of a building and he's just woken up. He's been asleep. We see a dead body somewhere. He has a crowbar in his hand. It's the same building where we find the survivors in the Guts episode. The one where Merle had to chop off his own hand. And since this takes place during the second season of The Walking Dead, so all the events of Guts and all that has already happened. And we see a man show up. Now, this dude we see that just woken up, his name is Chase. And he is played by Josh Stewart. Now, I first saw him in Not Another Ordinary Family, and then in The Dark Knight Rises, and then he was the bad guy in, what's that one show called? The Punisher, season 2. He's always playing a bad guy. This is the first time I ever saw him play a good guy. Man, him and the Punisher had some great fight scenes in that episode. Anyway, so like he's awoken. Well, no, he's greeted by a man named Harris, and Harris is played by Christopher Allen Nielsen. And so I noticed something about Harrison. He kind of looks a little like Merle and everything. He's kind of like this tall, older hick, camouflage type clothes, and he's like he has kind of like a personality a little similar to that of Merle. He's not racist, but he's just like all about the ladies and being vulgar and stuff. And he's talking about getting to the storage unit, and maybe he'll find like some Playboys and stuff like that. And so they have to hurry and get to a caravan because Chase's sister is with that group and they're finna head to DC. So they need to get to the next building over and get one of the keys so that they can get one of the big trucks. As they make their way down below, they start to ravage through like some of the stuff, and then like Harris, he finds like a Playboy. I think Chase gets spooked or something like that, and then Harris starts making fun of him. Next thing you know, Harris gets like attacked by like a zombie, and he's asking for like Chase to help him, but then tons of zombies overwhelm like Harris and just start ripping him apart. And so like this is what I love about this. There's like more zombie action in this one than there is any other like webisode. And so Chase runs hysterically, and then he breaks the lock into like the storage room, and he gets inside. And so like as he's outside, like some of the zombies kind of like get in, and he ducks under like one of the storage units, and he closes the gate, and but he can't close it all the way. And then there's like three zombies trying to get in, but then all of a sudden, splat! Somebody blows their brains out and tells him to get out and show his hands. It's some guy named BJ who works there. Now, BJ is played by Daniel Roebuck. And so, like, with BJ, you can't really tell really like what type of person he is at first. Like, he's constantly like shouting at like Chase, talking about, are you bid and this and that, and what are you doing here? And Chase tells him straight up what he wants. He's all like, like you ain't getting one of my trucks and you ain't staying here. And Chase is just like begging. He needs like a place to like to stay, you know what I'm saying? And get his bearings so he can get like a ride somehow. But then he's able to convince BJ to stay by talking about the generators and how like how like all the power is going on the building, and like he can like work the like backup units and stuff like that. And so BJ lets him stay. And so then they start to like bond a little bit, and he tells him, you can use the storage unit and like get some new clothes because his clothes got blood on it, and this storage unit used to belong to a cop. So as Chase is looking through the photo albums and the pictures, it's Rick and his family. Man, that takes me back to the good old days of The Walking Dead. Like none of those people are on the show no more. And so, like, you see like little Carl, you see Lori, you see Rick, and it's just like a cool moment, especially now since it's so far into the franchise. And so, like, as he's talking to, he goes back up and he's talking to like BJ, and BJ's looking at old footage of like security cameras from last week, people getting attacked, and he's actually enjoying himself, laughing at the people getting ate and everything. This lets us know BJ is not necessarily a good person. They talk a little bit more, and so he asks him to like help him with the backup units. And so anyway, as they're talking, Chase tells him straight up, man, you can come with us and everything. He's all like, why? It's dangerous out there, and I got everything I need here. And the world has come to like an end and stuff. So as he's down there by himself, turning on the circuit breakers and everything, what's his face? Is talking to him on a walkie-talkie. All of a sudden, a zombie comes in, and the lights go out, and you hear like a struggle. And then when the lights come back on, there's a zombie with like the crowbar in his eye and stuff. So next thing you know, you see Chase and BJ, and BJ's all like, "Oh, sorry, man. I thought I put Lenny down and everything." And so for some reason now, this is when it starts to get a little weird. At some point in time, Chase starts to get irritated with BJ. So BJ is having him pretty much do everything: turn on the power, take the rest of the zombie bodies and put them out in the back and wheel them out. This is now just starting to irritate like Chase, and he's all like, "Look, man, I gotta go and I need a truck." He's all like, "Well, you ain't getting one of my trucks," and blah blah. And they start talking about like the people who used to work there. There was four people, and Chase just starts asking random questions like, "Where's everybody at?" And he's all like, "Oh, some people ran, other people got bit." And then for some bizarre reason, he asked about this one picture of a woman who's working there, Kelly. Kelly is played by Serena Vincent, and he's all like, "Oh, she just didn't even show up that day." Don't know why he randomly asked about her, but that's when some of the writing starts to get a little bit weird. So then, as he throws the zombie bodies out in the back, he knows there's tons of dead like bodies out there, been burnt, been shot, been eaten, and he's starting to figure that maybe BJ has something to do with this. He turns around, and my God, BJ has a revolver pointed in his face, and talking about like, "Say hey to your sister for me," and then he shoots him in the head. We didn't see like BJ wake up. But the bullet, he has blood on the side of his head. The bullet only grazed the side of his head, so he was never really shot. At this point in time, he hears zombies coming and he's pissed at BJ. He gets out the dumpster, and wouldn't you know, zombies are surrounding him. And one of them is the zombified Harris. He picks up a cinder block and he beats the snot out of Harris' zombie head and smashes it. You see blood and guts go everywhere. And then he takes the machete that Harris had. Now this don't make no sense. Harris did have a machete in the beginning. When he got bit, he dropped it. Now it's shown that Harris was holding on to it. You very rarely see a zombie hold on to anything in The Walking Dead. Only time you ever did was in season 1 when they were doing like the prototypes of like what the show should be like. So, but it's okay. It's not that bad. You know, I can overlook that. So he takes the machete, he breaks the lock. This is when they was really short for time. As he's hitting the lock, he actually hit something else. And then you notice that the lock was just automatically unlocked the whole time. So, like, they should have edited that better. He gets inside, and when he gets inside, he goes back to the camera room. Now, in the camera room, I guess the reason why he asked about Kelly, because in the camera room where BJ works, there's like tons of pictures of like women in bikinis and stuff. So then he takes BJ's assault rifle and he's looking at the camera footage and he sees that BJ just came out of the room and readjusting his shirt. He gets very suspicious and he goes down there in that room. And when he goes in there, it's completely made up like almost like a love type room. There's a bed, some veils, and there's a woman tied to the bed with her legs spread wide open and wearing red lingerie. It's Kelly, Serena Vincent's character. She's hysterical. She's talking about like, don't hurt her. And he's all like, I'm not. And she's all like, did you shoot the BJ guy? He's like, no. And then she tells him like to free her and everything. And as she gets dressed, well, as she's getting free, she tells him everything's been going on. How BJ murdered all the employees because he always hated them and stuff. And talking about how he assaulted her all the time because she was basically like his sex slave and stuff. They really went there in this episode, man. Like you rarely hear something like that in the Walking Dead series. So then like as they're like wandering through the halls looking for BJ's on the intercom and he tells, you know, what's his face that he's about to end up dead like everybody else. So then they get out to where the trucks are at. And they're finna get into one, but then BJ shows up with a gun pointed. Now, BJ only has a revolver. Chase has the assault rifle. He does not fire for some reason. They just pointing at each other. BJ is trying to negotiate, talking about everything she told you is a lie. And then he tells him, hey, look, man, I'll give you one of the trucks, but you let me have Kelly. That way you can go see your sister and I can keep having Kelly. And then Kelly's all like, no, like take me with you and stuff. And he's all like, look, Kelly, the world's like a bad place. You won't last 2 seconds out there with him. You need to stay in here with me. So he's trying to like persuade her to stay with him so he can keep messing with her and stuff. And then Chase is all like, I'm sorry, Kelly. And she's all like, what? I'm just like, what the dude talking about? Like, he's all like, I have to get to my sister. I'm like, dude. And then Kelly's all like, shoot him. I'm thinking to myself, shoot him too. You have an assault rifle. He has a hand revolver. You should be able to get a couple of rounds off him before he even hits that trigger. Then this is when the editing gets kind of like bad again. Now she had the machete in her hand and he has the assault rifle. Then we see a scene where she's running to like one of the trucks with the machete in hand and she gets in. Then we see in the passenger seat is Chase. And they're talking about like how much gas this truck got. And we know we're going to have to like head to the caravan real fast before they leave. And stuff like that. So then they drive off and we no longer see them. Then it goes back into the video room and we see zombies that is coming all in the storage place. But there on the table, they really went all out because in these webisodes, they're supposed to be cheap, kind of like a bottle episode thing. But they went all out with the CGI on this. We see the severed head of BJ on the table, growling like a zombie. Kelly chopped his head off. I'm like, you go, girl. See, I like this episode so much because it delivers what The Walking Dead is all about. Tons of zombies, action, humans being bad, and somebody playing hero. And they had all that stuff in there, all in 20 minutes and stuff. I don't know why the other ones couldn't be like that. My one thing about all the webisodes I don't like is that sappy music they play. They play it over and over and really loud. Like, I get it, you know, you're not used to directing. This is your first little thing, but they're kind of acting like a film student or like a YouTuber or something, you know. But all in all, like I said, this is a really good episode. That wasn't that spooky. All right, well, I shall talk to y'all later. Bye.